Happy birthday to Craig. This one's for him.
I'm Sam.
And I'm Greg.
We're human beings.
And we like movies. We'll be doing reviews of brand new releases,
Old classics,
entire sagas.
and even TV shows and video games.
This is Reaction Time.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 73 of Reaction Time Podcast. Guess what?
What?
Our video is different this time, guys. We have a special guest, Sam.
Hello, everybody. We are joined today by none other than world-renowned therapist Courtney Prestwich, CSW. She has been practicing therapy for over 2 years.
Yes.
Dang.
Licensed therapist in the state of Utah, and she's here to help us understand better.
Inside Out, too.
And also understand ourselves.
Yes.
We will be getting free therapy out of this.
This will be
podcast.
just a therapy
This
session.
is actually just a hoax. We're just here to get free therapy. We're not actually going to be talking
I
about
don't know if I'm allowed to do that yet, so.
We got to get this
This
done in
is
an hour or
not
less, or
a
what she's going to
therapy
charge.
session.
Actually, we've only got about 50 minutes. Okay, well, anyway, hi, Courtney. How are you?
Hi, I'm good.
Good.
Glad to be here.
Good.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
So today we're talking about Inside Out 2.
Yep.
Which is exactly why we have Courtney here with us.
Yes.
Because this movie was all about emotions and the feelings. Courtney, you shared with me a cool fact about somebody who, in a way, worked on this movie. Will you share that with everybody?
Yeah, so there are many different approaches and modalities in the world of therapy. You maybe have heard of EMDR.
What's modality?
Like an approach.
Okay.
Just there's talk therapy is general. There's art therapy. There's play therapy.
Right. Okay.
But then in the world of talk therapy, you can use different approaches. We're gonna work on let's kind of explore how your thoughts dictate your behaviors, and changing thoughts changes behaviors. Or let's work to instill new habits, or there's modalities specific towards addiction and towards trauma and all that. So there's a therapy modality called internal family systems.
Oh.
It's the concept, everything functions in a system. Society is a system, your family itself is a system, they're heads of the system, all that. So the concept is that there is a system that exists inside of you through different parts and emotions and roles that these kind of parts take on in you. Anyway, so it's called IFS for short, which is, if I ever refer to it, that's what I'll do. Anyway, so the person who created IFS, his name is Richard Schwartz. I don't know, maybe early 2000s is maybe because it has to, all therapy approaches have to be evidence-based. There are some out there that aren't necessarily this is good, you can do it, but it's not deemed evidence-based. It's by gathering evidence, this helps a client improve. So it's an evidence-based modality that this man named Richard Schwartz created, and Pixar collaborated with him and consulted with him for Inside Out 1 and 2.
Wow.
And so anyway, so we have the man who created this theory has been consulted with for Inside Out. And again, many movies are consulting with all different kinds of people.
Right.
So it's not like Pixar's wow, they're so in tune with their emotions. They have this expert in the world of therapy who is coming on and helping kind of guide and
You can kind of help write the story and stuff like that.
Probably just give more insight
Which is
on
cool
how
because
the system works.
That's so cool.
That just
I didn't know that.
it shows the level of accuracy that they, first of all, accomplished, but also that they were trying to achieve, which is cool because I think you can definitely tell when a movie doesn't consult anybody and they just go full send on it. And so.
And I tried researching this. I was let me make sure I'm actually right when I say this. But I went to a training, an IFS training, and the woman guiding this training has worked personally with Richard Schwartz, and she's the one that said Pixar's worked with him. So
That's cool.
I've heard it by word of mouth, but this person knows him personally. So
Do you know if it's just been those two movies?
that's all I know. Yeah.
Cool. That's crazy.
He's written lots of books.
Good for
so,
them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it, like you said, it's really cool when they actually do their research.
Right.
Yeah.
Because then it actually makes the movie good,
Right.
which was what
Right.
Inside Out 1 was.
Right. And for somebody who's been trained in IFS to see it play out in this movie, how could they not have had somebody in the room with them kind of guiding this?
Yeah.
It's no ways Pixar
They're
just
just guessing.
figuring it out.
Yeah, they're
on their
Guessing
own.
at this like
I think
complex.
these emotions work. I
Yeah,
don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I guess this is a story.
very cool. So for anybody listening, the beginning of this, we're gonna go no spoilers.
Okay.
Yep.
Not spoiling the movie for anybody.
Nope.
We'll do that for a little bit, and then we'll let you know when we're getting into spoilers. But we're glad to have a resident expert here with us who can
World renowned.
who can attest to the accuracy of this movie.
Yeah.
So, Courtney, I guess, what did you think of the movie?
So good. It was so. I like posted a little thing on my Instagram story, and I said, everybody like do yourself a favor and like go see this movie.
Right.
And I was very intentional. It's like do yourself, not like yourself. Do you like do you a favor, but it's like
Right.
turn into your like the self,
Yeah.
the capital S self, your child self, your inner self, your soul, your spirit, whatever it is. Do that part of you a favor and go see this movie because it's so healing.
It's super
know?
good.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, did you like it better
Oh,
than one?
yes, I liked it
Okay.
way better than the first one.
Okay.
I've talked to a few people who have seen it and they liked the first one better, but I think the first one's way more simple
Yeah,
It is.
for that.
for sure.
But I liked this one a lot better.
They definitely aged these movies with the audience because the first one is, in a lot of ways, I think the first one is super easy to understand
Mm-hmm.
when you're, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. And this one, and you can probably talk more about
Yeah.
because Craig saw this with his
Yeah,
kids.
I'll share my experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably not as easy to fully understand the complexities of it when you're the second one when you're that young, but they definitely, it's been 9 years.
Yeah.
And so those kids who are 5, 6, 7, 8 are now 14, 15, 16, 17 years
Right.
old and are experiencing at least all of this.
that
kind of
and
stuff, so.
we're in a post-COVID world.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
kids and people know what anxiety is.
Oh, yeah.
now,
Yeah.
social anxiety, and even 10-year-olds who were 1 year old when Inside Out 1 came out have seen that, but also can better connect and grasp with anxiety because these 10-year-olds were entering elementary school during COVID
Right.
and now have social
yeah.
anxiety
Yeah,
because they weren't able to properly socialize.
Yeah. I'd say with us going and seeing it, so this was the first time that we went with the kids
That's
to a movie
so
theater,
cool.
right?
That's so
fun.
fun.
But they loved Inside
Yeah.
Out. They love Pixar movies. We try and, showcase all the fun movies with them as much as we can. They did great. Like, Lil got a little bit like, I don't know the word, fidgety towards
Yeah,
the end.
yeah.
But I think, like you said, there's less of like kids stuff for them to understand. Rowan was kind of like clapping at the end. I don't know if he really knew what was going on, but he was like, "Oh, it seems like everybody's happy, so I'm going to be clapping."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yeah, it's so cool." So, but there was still enough like colors and visuals and
Yeah.
just funny things that happened that kept them engaged.
Yeah.
It's hard for me because the first Inside Out is like one of my all-time favorite Pixar movies. So I still think I love the 1st one more. But when we get into spoilers, there was definitely some moments that got me in this new
Oh,
movie.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
for sure.
Can't wait.
The best thing that I compare this to, the best sequel I can compare this to, here we are again, is Empire Strikes Back. Because
Always have to bring up Star Wars
I have
in
to
every
bring in Star Wars
episode.
every single episode. The first Star Wars is super fun. There's not too much to it. There's obviously like a story and stuff.
Yeah.
The next one that came out was Empire Strikes Back, way darker.
Oh, yeah.
Way more going on. The bad guys win. Spoiler alert. All this kind of stuff. And that's basically what this movie is like when you really look at this movie, until the very end, this movie is just dark.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
In a lighthearted, educational, fun, funny way,
Yes.
it's dark, which is very confusing. But but like the first Inside Out is so good. It's way less complex, but it's in that sense, I would say it's maybe a little bit more palatable because you can just kind of like watch it whenever. Whereas I think this one, when you go back and rewatch it, I think people are gonna have more specific moods where they're gonna want to watch this movie
Right.
than when they would want to watch the first one.
And I'll say the more that I've like thought about it, like when I first walked out of the theater, I was like, that was fun,
Yeah.
like, and there was some moments that got me, but the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, okay, yeah, like I like this even more, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing for me is like some of the stuff that's in the movie I can relate to, and but also some of it was not as much relatable for my personal experience.
Because you're not a teenage girl.
Yeah,
Because he's not a hockey player.
Going through puberty as a hockey player, you know. Weirdly enough, I
You've
can't
been
relate
through
to that. That was a past life, okay?
We don't talk about that.
But the first one was so easy to relate to.
Yeah.
Everybody's had an imaginary
Yeah.
friend. You know, everybody's dealt with sadness, you know, and knowing that you need to experience sadness to be able to experience joy and that kind
Yeah.
of stuff.
Yeah.
So I think in terms of that, there was a couple more relatable things, but the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, oh my gosh, like I want to watch it again. You know, I want to
Oh, yeah.
experience it again
Yeah,
and be
I
like,
want to see it again too.
dang, this is so good.
Yeah. And I think the first one too, another reason why it's so good is almost that, and maybe not even on purpose, it sets this movie up so well because it's so simple. They basically just show you like, these are how your emotions work together
Right.
and not necessarily completely separately.
Right.
And so it's cool because it does that. And then in this one, when they bring in so many other emotions, you already have that baseline understanding of how that works.
Yeah.
And then they play on that so much about how, you know, you control your emotions or your emotions control you
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and different stuff like that. So again, it's just like such a good pair of movies.
Well, I even think too, like most children understand happy, sad, mad,
Yeah.
scared.
Yeah.
You know, disgust is a fun one. I use feelings wheels a lot in therapy with all my clients of all ages. Center circle, the one I use. Happy, sad, scared, mad, and then I think surprise is on there. There's like 6 in the inner circle, and then it branches out. You've got, you know, out of the happy, you got joy, you've got like excited, you've got like those things you understand a little bit more,
Surprise.
and then it goes even further out to the next tier. We've got elated and
Right.
optimistic, and so a little child might not know what optimistic is, but they know what happy is.
Right.
A 13-year-old probably knows what optimistic is now.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good thought.
Yeah. So this is like the first movie was the inner circle.
For sure.
The second movie is the
This is
the
the
Can't
next
wait for number
circle.
3,
Number
man.
for number
three.
We're gonna
when
get
there's,
dark.
Like 80 emotions.
We got some stuff to talk. We'll have to talk about the video you showed
I
me
know.
about Inside Out 3. We'll talk about that at the end.
I don't know if I want to experience the third
Dude,
one.
I
I
know,
get
right?
too real.
So Courtney, what would you give this movie out of 10?
Do you guys do points? You guys do like 9
Yeah,
points?
like-
Yeah.
I would probably like say like a 9 point, maybe like 3, 9.4.
Okay, nice.
You know?
What
That's
are you
pretty
going to
solid.
give it?
I have to give it a 9.8.
Nice.
It was so good.
Yeah.
I'll talk about it.
I'll do a
It's so good.
9.1.
Okay.
So
Solid.
still
Sweet.
awesome. I mean,
Solid scores.
a score of 9 is awesome.
Yeah.
So
What would you give the first one?
Solid 10.
Is that one you like better? You like the second one better?
Yeah.
I like the second one better. You like the first one better. What would you give the first?
probably like a 9.8, 9.9.
Oh, really? So that's
Yeah,
like your
yeah. It's just
best movie.
I think for me personally, and I need to see it again. I think the first one balanced like funny and stuff like that more. This one,
Yeah.
So this one had some funny parts, but there was a lot that wasn't. You know,
Yeah.
which I don't need to have a movie be funny, but there were times where I was less engaged than I was in the first one
Yeah.
than in this one.
And at this point too, so many of these emotions are familiar. We're familiar with these characters.
Yeah.
It's almost like there's less introduction. It's diving it like kind of straight into the story.
Yeah.
And so there's, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. Does anybody else have any non-spoilery things to say? Bueller?
I'll get into this with spoilers, but did you catch the A113?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Nice.
Okay, well, that's it. Go watch this movie.
Yes.
Do yourself, your capital S self, a favor and go watch this movie. I'm sure Courtney will explain that a little bit better.
And then
later,
come back.
and then
listen
come
to
back and
our
listen.
spoiler version.
But we're going to jump into spoilers now.
Yeah.
And we're just going to go through the categories.
Okay.
And that's how this is going to work. So go, if you're leaving, go check out our TikTok and our YouTube and our Apple podcast and our Spotify and our X and we're going to start posting on Reddit.
You were going to start posting on Reddit?
Gives Courtney's idea.
Actually, I had a good idea.
not a bad idea.
We're going to, just go find us. Google us. Actually, I don't know if you'll find us on Google. The Google.
Yeah, we have a website.
Yeah, but I don't know how our SEO. Anyway.
I don't either.
Okay, well, we're going to jump into spoilers
You
now.
got to find us somewhere.
Find us somewhere.
Okay. I have a first visual note.
Okay, go.
Okay. One thing that I thought was so interesting is they showed where they slept. Like, You never
Oh,
saw
yeah,
that in the
yeah, yeah.
first one?
Yeah,
You
the
did-
little bunk
they-
beds?
Yeah.
Oh,
the
yeah.
little,
I
like-
thought you were talking about the family, but you're talking about the
I thought,
emotions.
I thought that
no, the
first one
emotions.
too. Yeah.
I thought that was so like.
Oh, yeah.
funny
They'll
that
have
you-
like their bunk beds.
Yeah.
That is funny.
Did you see in Joy's bunk bed? There was a little Bing Bong statue.
No.
I wanted to cry.
Dude, R.I.P. Bing Bong. Who's the
It
friend
was
that
like
likes to
the
play?
first 5 minutes they show where they
Oh,
sleep, and I
I
see a
didn't catch
little,
that.
I see a little Bing Bong statue, and I'm like, all right, Pixar, thanks. Now
They-
my whole childhood's coming back. I'm
Oh
gonna
my
cry.
gosh. This does feel like a movie I'm going to have to go back
Mm-hmm.
to
yeah.
maybe in theaters for sure. What's your first visual note about?
It's actually my very first note, so that's funny. The really tiny family island.
Yeah,
That was so
actually that's my
funny.
second
It
one.
was so
wait.
funny.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going through all the different like
New islands
because she has these islands, and so Boy Band
Boy
Island
Band.
is huge
Uh-huh.
and it's
Huge.
thriving, and it's like
Friendship Island.
at least Family Island's still there, and it
Yeah,
pans over,
just-
and it's
it's
literally like
a little statue
these
of
little
her and her
statues of her
parents.
parents. It's so good,
but
That's
so
funny.
accurate.
I feel
Yeah,
like there was way less islands.
They just went over them really quickly.
yeah. They just didn't talk
But
about
like
them as
inside
much.
out
but
one, like
It's
at the end, there was like
islands.
it was a whole
50
thing.
of them,
Oh,
and then this it was
yeah.
like 5 again.
Yeah.
She grew up. There's less islands.
I
you know?
guess so.
So when they're playing hockey at the beginning, probably the sickest slow-mo Pixar shot of all time with the goal. Did you notice? It is cinematically so good. She's going to score the goal in her hockey game, and then boom, it cuts to slow motion, and the camera's like going through people's legs and skates
Oh,
and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
And it's like they had no reason to make it as good as they did. And it's incredible. You know that one guy, like they sent it to one animator and they're like, do your thing. And he's like, I got it. And he just
I
like
want this to be an action
turns all the lights
sequence.
off and he's like animating the slow-mo. Anyway, it's like way better than it needed to be. So I thought that was funny.
Oh, it's like John Williams just going ham on on Anakin just
It's like,
walking up somewhere.
You don't even need to. Why a piano on fire? This guy's computer was on fire.
Did you see the binoculars they were using when they were looking out at the island for Family Island? This is a Toy Story little binoculars guy.
No, it
Yeah,
wasn't.
so how did I
Man,
not
I
notice
like
that?
catch
So
some
funny.
of
Yeah,
this.
Easter eggs.
Yeah, you seriously do.
You got the Easter
Bing
eggs.
bong.
Dang. Okay, what else do you got for visuals?
Like throughout the entire movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
We just go in.
We
I
just
thought
go
it was
through
really
sequential
cool.
order.
We'll get into like the whole self concept at some point, I'm sure. But the way they created that, it's like the stem
Yeah.
with this kind of like complex little swirly.
It's like a
kind of
swirly orb.
messy orb.
Yeah.
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 But it's just really cool. It's like it almost looks like a tree in a way. It's here's the self. Here's the core. Here's who she is at her core.
Yeah, I'm a good
and
person.
then all those positive beliefs about herself. And so it was just kind of cool how they first off loved that they introduced that, and
Yeah.
then just also had a kind of a cool way of representing it, and it was kind of at the center of everything. And
That whole underground like belief thing
Oh,
was
dude,
looked
all of
so
that.
nice.
All
Yeah.
of that. Yeah, and that's I think what they do so well with these movies is personifying very specific things about the human experience. So the fact that like they visually show like a tangible self,
Right.
like right there, that I just think is
and along
so
with
cool.
all the little parts, they're emotions, but they're a part of them. We have a part of us that's anxiety, that is, has or is anxiety for whatever reason that is. That part exists inside of us for some reason. And so the way they visualized and created and personified anxiety, she just has this little spaz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did it perfectly.
Oh, it's so good. I remember when they first released the trailer, seeing so many like memes about, oh, finally, like now I know what that voice inside my head looks like. You know?
You can just picture
true, yeah, you can just
anxiety.
Yeah.
oh my gosh, yeah.
Nostalgia. Oh,
Oh,
my
that was
gosh.
so good.
Nostalgia is so
Yeah.
good.
So funny.
Yeah, it
I'm
was
glad
good.
they literally showed her like 2 times.
Yeah, and she just
Like, you're not
comes
supposed to show
out
up yet.
Yeah.
She comes back and
You're
like
saved.
5 minutes
You have like
ago.
10 years left. You have like 2 high school reunions
Mm-hmm.
and a whatever. Yeah, it was really funny. When Embarrassment's trying to like figure stuff out and then he gets up on the table and just like flops across the entire table, I thought was hilarious.
And just their
That's so
like
funny.
handshake thing, and then she like high fives. Your hands are
And
really
sweaty.
sweaty, and
And
you
he's-
just see the sweat
Yeah.
coming off.
And
of
he
her.
turns around and bends over and you see his
And
butt
see the little
crack,
butt
which is like so embarrassing.
Yeah.
You know?
It's funny because obviously this is really obvious, but the embarrassment character does the embarrassing things that we do.
Right,
It's
right.
not just like that he is embarrassment, but that he does the embarrassment.
Yeah, yeah. He's
That
just
is
not just
so
acting embarrassed. He's doing these
exactly.
things
It's
that
like a
embarrass us.
separate level. Yeah.
That's so freaking funny.
Anything else in visuals?
I don't think so. I'm sure.
I got a
it'll
couple
come up.
more.
I have a few more too.
Okay.
Go for it.
So this is the A113. So what basically when they're all the emotions, the new emotions bottle up the old ones, right? And they send them to the vault where it's like, oh, did you watch the after credit scene?
Nope, we forgot. Shoot.
You can spoil it.
Dang, well, we'll get into that later. So it's got like the deepest, darkest secrets. It's got, oh my gosh, which I will talk about this like 400 times.
Your favorite thing ever?
My favorite thing ever
The
because
video game character?
No, not even that.
Oh.
Okay, that's the second thing.
I thought
No,
that's what you would love.
having kids. I have watched so much Mickey Mouse Clubhouse.
Oh,
And Pouchy.
it's like a Wish.com,
I
like
called
Mickey
it-
Mouse
It is
Clubhouse
literally-
Dora.
I called it
That's what
Low
you
Budget
call-
Dora.
Low budget Dora.
No, it is Mickey Mouse Clubhouse
Interesting.
because they even do the oh crap, I forgot what the name of the thing is, but the thing that they do the exact same thing. They're like,
Oh, do they?
Yeah, instead of like Pouchy, and then everybody has to say, oh, Pouchy. They do that exact
Oh
same
my
thing,
gosh.
and then it's like a wheel, and it has a bunch of different things that you can select throughout the episode. And so I was 100% dying at that. But there's this vault, and I think it was where the deepest, darkest secret was. And it passes right by it, and it says ACXIII,
Yeah.
which in Roman numerals
Yeah.
is A113.
I saw something with the Roman numerals, and I didn't get a chance to look at it long enough. But
Yeah.
I thought I was like, I wonder
Yeah.
if that's the A113.
Yeah.
And
That's
the
so
A113, for anybody who doesn't know, I think it's in probably
I
every
think
Disney
so.
movie.
I think they
Every
Pixar.
Or
Pixar.
Pixar movie, I mean,
Yeah.
sorry.
It's everywhere.
It was the number of a classroom where the animation students were
where they first started.
Where they first started.
Yeah.
So they sneak that into everything.
Sneaking in all of them.
So I'm going to talk about the video game
Yeah, you
character because I
totally
immediately
can.
saw it and I was like, Craig's going to dig that.
that was where I laughed the
It's
hardest.
so funny because he's pixelated, just
He's
enough.
He's like PlayStation 1, like
Oh,
pixelation.
and it's he looks very like kind of Mortal Kombat, like, and you know the
Or, like
hair's
Japanese, like, you know.
yeah, like Japanese samurai anime video game character kind of thing, and the hair's like always flowing in the wind just a little bit. But the funniest, I guess this is a little bit more of a story thing, but his kill move is that he's this big. I mean, he's obviously bigger than everybody else, but he's this tall, character with this beautiful hair and this giant sword. And then his kill move is he basically like rolls into a little ball and rolls super slowly at the enemy, and it's so funny.
I was
It
gonna
is
say,
just hilarious.
my favorite part was when he was trying to get out of the vault and he just
Oh, yeah.
crashes into the wall and can't get out,
Yeah.
which always happens in those types of video games.
Oh, it's so funny. It's so funny.
Okay, so I have one that says my hat guy. Do you know what that was?
My hat
My
guy.
hat guy. That's the only note that I can't remember.
Oh.
Did someone make the comment? Or?
I don't know.
My hat guy.
My hat
I don't know.
guy.
I guess we'll
Okay.
have to circle back when we
Dang
see
it.
this again. When I believe it's when anxiety, basically Riley is, I think she's going to get up and go to the gym early. I could be wrong, or going to play a game or something. Anxiety quintuple fists energy drinks, which is incredible. I think she has one in her mouth and then two in each hand, and drinking all of them at the exact same time, and it's amazing. So I just want to shout out
Did you
whoever
see
came
the
up with
tea
that.
that she was drinking?
Anxiety.
Yeah, anxiety,
Yeah.
yeah.
That was at the end, right?
Yeah,
like when
that was
she
at
sits
the
in a
end.
little chair.
Oh,
yeah.
man, that was so funny.
Yeah. Now I have like all these visual things coming to my
Yeah, go
head
for
because
it.
I thought they would have been more like along the story, but I guess it's a visual. It was just really cool how they were able to visualize outward, looking at Riley, her anxiety attack.
Yeah.
Because interestingly enough, we were on the phone with your parents like 2 weeks ago. We're talking about anxiety, and your mom goes, "What does an anxiety attack look like?"
And it was right before we saw that movie.
Oh, it
Yeah.
was like 2 weeks ago. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
not that long ago.
yeah.
And so, just the running her hands on her legs, the grabbing her
The-
chest,
yeah.
her legs shaking, she's crying, her shortness of breath, like
Yeah.
that's what it looks like. And so you have that on the outside, and on the inside, anxiety is this tornado.
Yeah.
And but also you like look at anxiety because like if you're standing outside of that tornado, you see this crazy tornado. Joy goes in, and anxiety's there, but also it's like kind of around her. Everything's going so
she's
fast.
just like in the middle,
Yes.
just kind of still.
and
or
she's still, but it's almost like
she's like glitching.
She's going
kind of
so
glitching.
fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you see the fear on her face.
Yeah.
You know, you just see this is where that anxiety part is working, and we kind of learn. I guess it's more in the story, but just anxiety works so hard to protect us. That's
Right,
like the
right,
role that
right.
anxiety falls into. It's
Yeah.
it's a protector.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And so just seeing the fear in her eyes as she's losing control. She's not doing her job. She's not fulfilling her role, and she feels so out of control. And then you see that manifested outwardly in what Riley is exhibiting.
Yeah. That movie, I don't know if you ever watched Puss in Boots: The Last Wish.
The
newest
Puss in Boots?
one.
No, I haven't seen it.
That one does anxiety attacks so good too.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
And
interesting.
then there's this video game called Celeste that I love a lot, that you're stuck on this little thing and she's having this freak out, and like all of these like tentacles are coming in and kind of like surrounding her is what she's imagining is happening. But like that's up there as one of the best like showcases of what an anxiety attack
sure.
looks like.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like having an internal
Yeah.
anxiety
Yeah.
attack
Yeah.
watching her have an
Yeah.
anxiety attack.
Yeah.
It was insane how well they did that.
Yeah. My last note just says "die alone." Ha 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 ha. And I don't know what it means, and I am sorry. But if you've watched the movie, you're like, I know what he's talking about.
My hat guy dies alone.
That guy dies alone. I feel like it is with the video game guy who's like, I'm not going to die alone.
It's
something
probably
like that.
something
I can't
like
remember.
that, yeah. And I love how much Disgust is just in love with
She's
this.
in
video
love
game
with him. It's
And
so
is
funny.
it's envy or is it disgust?
It's disgusting.
It's
Oh, that's right, because
He's
they're
in
going
love.
around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They like put the hands up.
Yeah.
Okay, I have one thing I want to. Oh, do you have any more visual?
No,
notes?
that's it.
Okay, I have one thing I want to ask as a question, and I don't know if anybody's ever posed this question. I'm assuming somebody has out there in the universe. But one thing that I noticed watching this movie, and then obviously it's the same in the first one. Every character has as far as I remember, has the same color hair as the rest of their body, except for Joy.
Yeah.
She has blue hair.
Right.
Any theories? Is it because sadness has to be part of joy?
I mean, you kind of have to. That's usually like the ones that you intertwine the most, is when you deal with sadness, you can usually experience joy afterwards, right? And so I wonder if they had that knowing from the first movie, right? I mean, obviously they know when they start making the first movie, they know how the whole story's going to play
Yeah.
out, right? They've written it all out.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if they did that as a design choice, knowing how the first one would end.
I always just kind of thought it was like Joy's like the main character of all of them. Not saying like Joy is what shows up the most in people, but just that she
But
kind
in
of
the
in the
movie,
movie it is,
yeah.
and she runs the show, and it kind of just sets her apart a little bit. I never thought it was like anything deeper than that, but I wouldn't be surprised.
I wonder if it
was.
is. Yeah.
I wonder if they did it all yellow and it just looked weird.
Yeah, that
Well,
too.
my other theory is that they did yellow and she looked exactly like Tinkerbell because her dress is green.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah,
Well,
and so I was like, oh, maybe
yeah.
it's just that they didn't want to look like Tinkerbell.
That's
which
funny.
is
Yeah.
fair,
that
you
could
know.
be true.
That's funny.
It is, yeah, it is interesting because I think in a lot of ways in both of these movies, Joy is the one who it's weird. I mean, there's so many layers to this, but Joy is the one who experiences kind of all the other emotions.
Yeah.
Also in a
Yeah,
way.
you can't think about it too much, because
Right.
then you're like,
I know,
why
you're
can
right.
the
Now,
other
they have-
emotions?
Why are the
They have
emotions
having
experiencing
emotions, yeah, I guess
emotions?
really,
It's-
like,
yeah, I'm
like
trying not to go
Inception.
get
too
way
deep.
too into it.
Yeah, it's like trying to figure out Inception,
Yeah.
It's- or Interstellar.
Inside Out 3 is just going to
Inside
be
Out-
joy and then emotions inside.
It's going to be
joy.
Inside Out 3, directed by Christopher Nolan. Honestly, that'd be kind of
It's going to
sick.
be like Interstellar Part 2.
It's going to be like depression and time travel. And that is what we got going here.
I don't have one more note, but I did remember this.
Okay.
When she makes the avalanche of all of the old memories, I tried to look for like parts that didn't look correctly and like the flow of like all of the little marbles and stuff. It looked perfect.
Yeah.
Like, how do you do that with like 20,000 little balls on the screen? It was crazy.
My guess is a really good particle sim,
guess.
or a volume sim, but I have no idea.
But they were like bouncing off of each other and everything. It wasn't like they were all
Yeah.
just fluid motion.
Pixar, man.
Pixar, holy crap.
They've always been great, but this movie really, like visually, I think was such a step forward.
Yeah.
From everything they've done, which is really cool. Because it's almost like you look at a Pixar movie and you're like, this is as good as it can get, just visually. Because it's
I
like
thought that was Toy Story 3.
it's animation, but they're not going for reality,
Right.
But then it gets better.
How does it get
I don't
better?
understand how it's better or why, but I know that it is.
It
you know?
How the animation
Yeah.
is better.
Okay, so Courtney. Out of 200 points,
Oh,
what would you
gosh.
give the visuals of this movie?
I don't know.
She's never had to do
I
this
didn't pick
before.
it apart like you guys did. They did great.
anything
I
look
couldn't do
bad?
it.
Courtney's like, I can
No.
do it 200.
There you go.
200. Good job, guys.
seriously, if nothing takes you out of it or distracted you from it, why not be a 200?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm sure if I really broke it down, I could find something, but nothing was like, I didn't like the way that looked.
Yeah.
So good on them. 200.
Okay.
Boom.
Why not?
Craig?
No complaints.
I think I'm going to agree with 200.
I was
Because the
too.
video
Okay.
game character even was like not 60 frames. And
No, exactly.
and-
yeah. It was what it probably like
And Pouchy was
probably
2D.
like
Not
30.
even-
Yeah,
yeah.
and pouchy and being 2D and everything. Like it just,
Yeah.
for some reason it flowed.
Yeah,
it
it's
works
funny.
so well. It's like when they
Yeah.
go in the first one, I can't remember what it's called, the place where they get all dematerialized and they
Oh, yeah,
start
yeah,
going
yeah,
more
yeah.
and more, just like that. Where
Well, one other thing. I don't know. Why didn't I write this down? And I don't know if they really showed this in the first movie. I can't remember. But now I feel like there were a lot more really close-up shots of the characters.
yeah.
And I never noticed the texture that they have. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, that like,
they're,
kind of,
they're almost
Yeah.
fuzzy,
Yeah.
but it's like not dense.
They're like particles.
Yeah,
too.
It's
yeah.
very interesting because, and they do start coming apart, and there's a close-up shot of that, and you realize that they're all like, yeah, they're fuzzy but not, and
Yeah.
it's, I
It's
don't
almost
know,
like
it's
they're made
really
of a
cool.
bunch of little like balls. Almost.
Yeah, it's-
yeah, it's super weird.
but it's so dense, but it's not dense. It's cool. It's just a really cool note.
Toodles is the thing in Mickey Mouse Clubhouse.
Oh, Toodles!
Oh, Toodles. Yeah, and they go,
Oh,
Toodles.
Toodles!
Yeah, so
Yep.
The oh pouchy thing. Oh,
Yeah.
so funny.
So let's jump into the story.
All right. Okay, I'm assuming, Courtney, you got the whole story. Go.
Can you, before we start the story, can you give us a really quick explanation of what self with a capital S means and how that differs from just yourself?
Oof, yeah, I will do my best because
Okay.
because this is a modality I am learning still.
Okay.
So
Perfect.
the idea is that like we have a core we have like a core to us. It can be your inner child, your capital S self, your spirit, your soul, kind of whatever it is you want to refer to that, and that is inherently and innately good.
Okay.
Like yourself is good.
Right.
And I am good and I'm worthy of good things and these good beliefs and that's arguing more on the side of we are born good versus born bad or
Right.
evil or whatever that argument is. And so when we refer to the self, so again, all of IFS is we are kind of taking ourselves apart and recognizing that we have these parts,
That are bad.
that well no
Okay.
they're not bad either. We have this inherent goodness to us with these inherent good beliefs, and then through experiences in childhood and throughout our life, these beliefs that we've had and these inherent like good parts of us become burdened
Okay,
with like
okay.
a new role to take on. And so that's the part where you like through therapy is we kind of dissect, like it's very common that people have a people pleaser, an inner critic, a controller, a fixer, whatever it is, because it's trying to prevent usually some sort of shame or sadness or something from coming forward. And that's very much what Joy does in the first movie. She's
Okay.
very much this controlling part.
Right.
No sadness. We will not let Riley
Yeah.
feel sad, stuff sadness down. Sadness equals bad.
Yeah.
Sadness is not bad.
No, it's not.
We learn from, and when I introduce IFS to clients, I compare it to Inside Out, the first movie. And recognizing that, Joy is this controlling, she's Joy.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But if you break that apart and just recognize that she is this part that is kind of controlling and this perfectionist, that's another part, trying to put other parts in their place and stuff other things down and stuff certain feelings down. And essentially when that part can't fulfill that role, then we usually have some negative coping mechanism part that comes forward.
Okay.
That is like, let me self-medicate, let me
Right.
hurt myself, let me binge, let me drink, let me rage, let me blame, let me do these other things because part A couldn't control part B.
Right.
So now part C is going to come forward and it's kind of this never-ending route. And all that is to protect the self, the capital S self, from getting hurt. We don't want the self to feel sad, so let's stuff self down, but then we realize, well, we're still being hurt in the process. And so I just think about like going into the story, right away they start sending off all the bad memories.
Right.
We're not going to let, again, they're controlling here. We're not going to let Riley feel these things. We're not going to let these things define who she is. And if only it was that easy,
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
And so
you just
'cause-
pinball
yeah.
machine. Just,
Right. And just right away, I don't know if I have anything written down about that in particular. Just like, so memories lead to beliefs and memories create the sense of self. And so like by teenage years, teenagers start to have kind of like, oh, I'm a failure, I'm stupid, I'm ugly. They start to have these beliefs about them. Those aren't true.
Yeah.
The self is creative, and they call it like the 8 C's of self. So there's like courageous and creative and compassionate and curious and I don't know, whatever the other 4 are. And so we have that. We all have that, and we ideally should believe that. But most teenagers don't believe that. And Riley does believe a lot of these really good things about her because they're not allowing her to have these experiences where she would say, I'm a bad person.
Right.
But ideally it's okay, I'm a good person, I did a bad thing. Like
Right,
that's
right,
normal and that's okay to think that and to learn from that. But they're sending the memories away. Memories create our sense of self. Where we know at very early ages we have this ability in us. It's like, I'm a good friend, I'm kind to others, and then we get in a fight with our friend, and then it's like, I'm not a good friend anymore.
Right,
you know,
right,
we have these experiences that burden those parts, those kind of inherently good parts of us. I think about the woman that I got this training from, and she talks about how she was like confident, and she goes to a new school and she's got braces and headgear and all this stuff, and then she's like demonstrating with people on the stage, and everyone's wearing this like sign on them, like I'm confident. And then she goes to this new school and she gets bullied, and then it's like, I'm ugly. And she puts this black drape over their head that says ugly. And so it's like that belief that you had was this burden because of an experience that happened. So when the emotions are sending all the bad memories away, they're trying to control, and they're not letting Riley really like come to experience even these bad memories so that she can grow from them and learn from them and better, develop who she is as a person. And so later, when anxiety comes and anxiety starts stuffing all the anxiety memories in that machine, and they're like growing out of the ground and all this stuff, it starts turning into, I'm a bad person.
Yeah.
And I do bad things and whatever.
Yeah.
Sorry, I really went on a rant.
no, that was
totally
perfect.
fine.
That's really cool. I think that gives so much. That gives a lot of clarity to, because that essentially is what happens in this movie.
Yeah.
Everything
Yeah,
that you
yeah.
just talked about is what happens. And so, yeah, it's not that Riley's bad, but that these experiences and different burdens can kind of start to, would you say it can kind of like not change your sense of self, but almost like how it starts to tint almost differently and stuff. And you can almost clean it off. And
And the
get back to
concept,
the
if you want to like
base.
really break it down, it's like we have managers. They're working really hard to prevent kind of quote bad or more negative or sad feelings. So we have these parts of us that might feel sad or shamed or anxious or I'm just trying to think of like this diagram I use, like isolated, or just like these feelings that essentially don't feel good. So our managers are these parts that are controlling and perfectionists and people pleasing and anxious and just trying to do these things because I don't want the self to feel this way.
Right.
And so it's like when you kind of look at it from that route, we have these parts that all kind of work as protectors in a way. And they think, again, it's weird because like we watch this movie with these emotions who have their own thoughts and emotions.
Yeah.
So it really is that. It's like you take this part of you that thinks it's doing the right thing and thinks it's working hard enough to keep yourself safe, especially because there was an experience that happened most likely when you were a child that taught you something that brought up shame, and I'm a bad person because of this shame that I felt. So this controlling part says, well, I'm going to make sure that I control everything around me so that you never feel shame again.
Right.
And through therapy and through IFS and through exploring these parts, let's talk to controlling. Why does control want to control? Well, because if I don't control, then I'll feel shame. Well, why? What's wrong with feeling shame? Well, it doesn't feel good. What do you see? What do you picture when you vision shame? I see my little 8-year-old self in my bedroom crying. And so when you look at that part, that shameful part of you, it's okay, talk to that part, connect to that part, tell that part, we're not 8 anymore.
Right.
We're grown up. We can take care of ourselves now. We don't have to feel this shame anymore. And it's a really, like, you do it through meditation and through guided meditation. And so it can be really weird at first because controlling wants to control. No way is controlling going to step aside and let you feel the shame.
Right.
So it takes a lot of practice to tell control, hey, it's okay. You can step aside for a minute. Let me talk to shame. Talk to shame. I'm here for you, shame. We've got this. We're not 8 years old anymore. We don't have to hide from these people anymore.
Right.
We're okay now. And I've seen it happen with clients where they turn into their inner child or their teenage self or whatever it is. And I just, they're sitting in the chair and their eyes are closed. And I say, like, what would you say to yourself? I would say you're not alone. Okay, tell yourself that now. Tell yourself you're not alone anymore. And it's really cool to see people do it.
Yeah.
And to believe it. And it's also really weird at first because they've never done it before.
Right.
How often do you just talk to yourself,
Right,
to
right,
your
of
inner
course,
child?
of course.
Yeah.
No.
I would almost, and this is getting like really far in the story, but I would almost say that almost correlates. It almost feels like she was doing that to herself when Joy came in. She grabs anxiety. Basically, they do all that stuff, and then they create before it's the new thing, it's kind of the twisted between the two of them when she's put the new one in there, and it's like, it's going through all the emotions. It's like, I'm proud of myself. I hate myself, and all that other kind of stuff. My parents are proud of me. They're not proud of me. And then when Joy just hugs it, well, that's where I lost it.
That's where I lost it,
That's
too.
where I lost it. But that's almost like,
Big tears.
that's almost like what you're saying. That almost felt like she was telling herself in that moment. That's what Joy was doing, right? She was being that person for Riley to be like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, you can feel shame. It's fine. You sometimes we do bad things. It's okay, you know? And so it almost felt like that kind of correlated with that.
I wrote down when her parts gave her, so when all the parts hugged anxiety, they all came around, they all held and hugged anxiety. That's what we do to ourselves.
Right.
We tune into that part that and those parts, the shame, the sad, the isolated, all that. I think anger might be in there. I'm just basically things that we have experiences like that we take and then we define like, I feel shame for doing this thing, therefore I'm a bad person. Like oftentimes it's those experiences that create more of a negative sense of self. And so when I totally just lost my train of thought. But it's what we do to ourselves. We're hugging that part because it all stems from memories. It all stems from experiences.
Right.
So when you tune into, and oftentimes with IFS, we're gendering the part, we are aging the part, and oftentimes it's yourself. Or I saw when I was interning and I would shadow these sessions. Like one of the sessions I shadowed, the client had identified one of her parts. When she referred to it as a Pokemon character. Like it's this specific Pokemon character.
Right.
That's what I see. I can't remember what the part was. I can't remember any of that. But that's like what she sees, And so it's just like when I talk to people, I'm like, imagine this little part of you. Take it out. Hold it in your hand. I did something like this recently with, oh man, what was the feeling? I can't remember what it was. I cannot remember what the feeling was, but I was like, take it in your hand. I think it was maybe insecurity or something. And it's like, when you look at it and when you talk to it, like, how do you feel towards it? She's like, I almost feel sympathy towards it. How cool is it that you can feel sympathetic towards a part of you that feels insecure?
Right.
And you're now like, I see you insecure and I get you and I'm with you.
Yeah.
We don't give ourselves that when we feel insecure,
No.
So, yeah.
Cool.
That's really cool.
Thanks. That was good. Okay, so one thing that I thought was really funny was basically the puberty thing gets
The button or
the
whatever,
button gets inserted into the board,
That was so
and
funny.
it's so funny. And then basically puberty construction starts, and they have the construction guys who are the best side characters in the movie. They put up a sign that says, "Pardon our dust, puberty is messy."
Oh, I have that written down. Puberty's messy. Yeah.
Puberty's messy.
And I like how they just destroy everything, and then they're like, "All right, break time."
Yeah.
You just leave.
Because that's what puberty feels like,
Yeah.
just freaking chaos all the time.
Oh, it's so funny.
And it's never recovered.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
They never go back and fix
Yeah.
it. I love the brainstorm that they had where they're trying to think of all the ideas, and they're like, "It's a brainstorm," and I was like, "Okay, that's pretty good."
It's just so fun when they visualize again, I think back to the first movie and like kind of where the long-term memory is and
Like the train of thought.
train of thought, the
Yeah.
different islands of personality. Like
Yeah.
they just do such a good like way of laying that groundwork in the first movie, and
Yeah.
so then in the second movie it was here's like deep dark secrets. Yeah, that's all of them because that's where the video game character is.
Uh-huh,
And so no one knows that she has a crush on that video game
Uh-huh,
character.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Robin Hood, the Fox Robin Hood. That's where he would be in mine. I'm actually very open with that. Everyone knows I had a
Yeah,
crush on the
that's
Fox
so
Robin
funny.
Hood. So,
Oh, that's a great movie.
yeah, let's do
Or
that one
the
next.
Sark.
that one. Courtney's like, I'll be there for that one.
The sarcasm,
sarcasm.
and that
just
one.
keeps opening more and
which
more, which is so funny.
Someone like on Wii or whatever the character's name is,
Wii.
did he hit something and that's what opened it? Something it wasn't there, and then it
Was
opened.
it? Yeah.
And then it opened
must
further
have
been.
because I think he kept like throwing or I don't know.
Well, they kept talking to each other, and then they were thinking they were being sarcastic.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
It kept opening, but I think there was something happening with Riley and up at the control center where it
Yeah.
kept opening more and more.
Yeah.
And so again, like
Well, because she was talking about the
the boy band.
the boy
yeah,
band.
There's
Yeah,
so
I
yeah, on
love-
Wee's up there at the control
Yeah.
center. The sarcasm is opening
Yeah,
more.
it's so much
And
fun.
so they're just introducing all these new. Again, it's just like if you want to be really creative, like IFS requires a lot of imagination. If you want to be really creative, yeah, you got this thing happening somewhere in your brain that's this long-term memory stored back here. I often, like, in terms of trauma, talk to people like your brain's a filing cabinet. It stores memories.
Yeah,
You know, when something traumatic happens, it often discards that memory and throws it in a trash can and keeps stuffing it down.
Yep.
But then as soon as your brain starts filing through certain memories, it's very common that traumatic memories that you had suppressed for so long start to come up because as you're
like when she
filing
creates the avalanche.
right, as you're filing your memories away, there's room. We're cleaning up the space. There's room now for these memories to come forward.
Yeah.
It's very normal with trauma that people will start to remember things that they
And you need
never
to remember
remembered.
those things so you can go through them. So
absolutely,
you can improve.
absolutely,
Yeah. Which is I love that the avalanche. It created all of her beliefs so that she could get through all those
Yeah.
bad memories that Joy had locked away.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool.
So this might be my favorite part of the movie. And it's not when I cried, but they're driving her to hockey camp, and
Oh yeah.
her dad looks over at her mom and he goes, "Big weekend for us. What do you want to do?" And he gives her like the eyebrows and bites his lip, and then she goes, "Well, we can clean out the garage." Just like
And he just gets like the pouty look, and then that's it. Like that's the whole scene. It's
the
like,
whole thing,
you
but it's
blink and
so
you miss it.
because he's like, yeah, because the focus is on Riley, like visually in that scene. She's
Yeah.
in the center, and then dad and mom are kind of way in the foreground. Like you almost aren't, your eye isn't drawn to them, but
Yeah.
if you look up at them, he's just like giving her the doomy eye. He's giving her Nala eyes.
Oh yeah,
really
100%.
bad. So yeah.
Oh man, I don't have. The last one I have is the after credit scene. So
I have so many.
I have so many.
okay,
Okay, go. What
I
do
don't
you
know.
got?
I feel like I'm jumping all over the place now.
okay.
That's
And
fine.
again, like going back to like with IFS, with our parts, we gender them, we age them. These emotions were different ages. You know, I would say anger is like a middle-aged man.
Oh,
Envy,
right,
she's so
right,
little.
right,
Envy's
yeah.
so young. and she's,
Yeah.
like,
Oh my gosh, I didn't
Ennui-
even notice
yeah,
that.
Ennui is very much
That's
a
so cool.
teenager.
Oh,
you know,
100%.
embarrassment is hard to gauge, but maybe like early 20s
Yeah.
or something, which is like think about early 20s and like how much you're trying to find yourself and
Yeah.
fit in.
Yeah.
Sadness is kind of the sweet old grandma.
Yeah.
But,
And
you know,
nostalgia is a
sadness.
sweet
Yeah,
old
yeah,
grandma.
nostalgia's a grandma.
Yeah.
Disgust is very much a teen. You know, maybe
Yeah,
19
yeah.
or something. She's just like ew, and so yeah, it's just they're all. I don't know. It's again kind of back to just the thought
Envy,
that's
I
put
love
into all
your
of this.
hair. Don't even.
Yeah. The fact that I guess some of these could like go under visual too, but just like they literally bottled up the
They
emotions.
That's what I was gonna talk
Yeah,
about.
and
Yeah.
stuff, send them
So
away.
clever.
You
It's
know,
perfect.
it's like we very much learned in the first one. Like Joy draws this little box, and she's like, "Sadness, your job is to stay here all day.
Yeah,
That's what your
well,
job
yeah.
is." You know, it's like she's trying to box up the emotions. We
Yeah.
need to feel all of these
Yeah.
emotions.
Yeah.
One other thing I thought was really funny in the car when they're on their way to hockey camp is kind of, I guess, when the puberty starts, you know, in a way, like, or I don't know. I can't even remember what happened with the emotions right before this, but then her and her friend look at each other and then they start to fully overanalyze
Oh, that was cool.
everything.
That was funny.
And it
yeah.
goes back and forth
So
between
funny. Yeah.
her eyes were like this, and then they're like this, and then they're like this, and then they're like this. And it's like barely moving. It's like, oh, she's mad at us or whatever.
Yeah, because Disgust is like,
Disgust
hold
is
on.
analyzing
Yeah.
the look.
Yeah, oh, it was
Oh, yeah.
disgust. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was really funny.
Did you see that?
Um, let's see, going back to the very beginning, I have this written down. It says Riley Protection System. And then I started writing a thought afterwards and I never finished it. So I don't know if they say we have this Riley Protection System. I don't know if they say something like that, but I just have that written down.
It would have been fear.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then one thing that was cool was kind of early in the beginning. Shoot, I just lost it, but I know I had it written down. Oh, something happened and like Joy's like, okay, go ahead, Sadness. Like, let her feel it.
Yeah.
So it was really cool to see like how much, again,
How
when
much
you-
she's grown.
no, yeah. When you want to get all meta with these parts, like how much like Joy's grown, like, you know,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
proud of her now. But it really is, and healing that part of you. That's if you want to take Joy and put her more in a controlling role,
Right.
that's what happens. These parts of us eventually will like, okay, let me do my job. Oh, wait a second, nope, I don't have to control this situation. I can
Right.
step back and let it play out. It's gonna be okay, you know.
Yeah.
Yep.
One thing that was so true to life, and I'm going to call out the boomers a little bit here, but I can't remember who says it, but they're talking about kind of how to either like get rid of anxiety or to calm anxiety down or whatever. And they're like, we could just say, "Hey, anxiety, don't worry anymore."
that was my
and then
next point.
and then she'll say, "Oh yeah, I'd never thought of that before." It's just like,
Oh yeah.
100%.
Oh,
If
yeah.
somebody either doesn't know anything about like mental health or hasn't experienced it or is just really closed off to the whole idea of emotions and mental health and stuff, it's 100% how it is.
Yeah.
You know how many times somebody in their 40s, 50s, 60s will tell somebody with depression, just don't be sad anymore.
Yeah, just get over it.
Or with anxiety, like just stop, just like stop worrying.
Yeah,
And it's like,
just
oh,
stop.
duh.
Why didn't I think
So I
about
just think
that?
that's funny that they threw it into the movie kind of as a slight to
Yeah.
people who do that. I thought
Yeah.
that was really funny.
No, I had that written down too. That was like, as I was scrolling, I'm like, oh, there's my next point. I also have like when an anxiety ball, I mentioned this earlier, but when an anxiety ball enters the belief system, that's like a part becoming burdened.
Right.
And it, in a way, should have happened earlier with these bad memories,
Right.
but they weren't allowing it to happen.
Right.
So Riley has like all the confidence in the world, you know, like, which is, ideally, that was one of the 8 C's, confidence. And so like, ideally, that's what we should have too. And ideally, nothing ever gets in the way of our confidence, but we're human and those things happen. And
You need to learn from them.
you have to learn from it. And
Yeah.
so, you can recognize like I'm a confident person. I'm worthy of having confidence. I deserve to have confidence, but sometimes these embarrassing things happen and you can feel embarrassed without letting it completely destroy you.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you don't ever experience them, then it's going to completely destroy
Right.
you.
Right.
I don't remember who says this, but basically they get to the point where they're kind of the basic emotions, right, from the first movie, they're kind of losing, right? They're about to lose. And I can't remember who says it. It might be Joy. But she said maybe this is what happens when you grow up.
It
You
was,
feel
it was,
less joy.
it was
Yeah.
joy.
It's
Yeah.
Oh, it's so sad.
Yeah, because she's talking
Yeah.
about how anxiety can't be stopped. And it's
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're all the way out on that big mountain thing,
Yeah.
and they don't know how to get back.
She's redoing the first movie. She's going through a memory and hoping that it's just going to solve it for
Oh,
her,
yeah.
right?
yeah.
Because she's looking at it and then she gets frustrated that the memory's not helping her.
Yeah.
And so she's like, "Tell me what to do." And then she's like, "Maybe anxiety just
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
what
runs
happens
the
when you get
show.
older.
Well,
you
and
don't feel any more joy."
I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
like probably almost every adult at some point has thought basically that exact same sentence of
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
just maybe when you grow up you feel less joy. Maybe
Yeah.
that's just how it is. So yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna like read what she says. So when they get back, and I think Joy says this, and she finally gets into that tornado and gets to talk to anxiety, and she's like, we don't get to choose who Riley is.
Right.
So that's the thing. Our parts do not get to choose who we are.
Yeah.
We have a self, we have the self, we have our soul, whatever it is, we have that to us.
Yeah.
Our parts don't get to dictate what that is. And so again, when parts try to manage and try to cope and try to solve and all that, they're trying to control the self. They don't get to do that. But again, they think if they don't do that, something will go wrong. By doing it, something is going wrong.
So would you describe that thing in the middle as the self?
Yeah, that little
Yeah.
glowy tree.
Yeah,
and
whatever it
yeah,
is.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, this is her belief system, and that's again kind of what creates who herself is at that
I
core.
want to say she actually says self
I
or
think
sense
she
of
does.
self
Sense
or
of self
something
or
like that.
something like that.
They kind of
I think
yeah, they
I think
say
you're
it.
right. And then another cool part was they all kind of step back, and I think the tornado's gone, and I think her friends have checked in with her at the hockey game at this point, and then Joy's little particles start kind of like drawing towards the control center, and then they go. I think Sadness says like Joy, she's calling for you or she wants you or something.
Yeah, she
And-
says Joy Riley wants you.
And so then
just
that's
that.
ideally we get to now the
She's
self is operating the
controlling,
show. And because that's the thing, that's what's so cool is in the whole entire first movie, you know, Sadness leans on the control panel and Riley starts to feel sad all of a
Right,
sudden.
right,
you know, the
right,
parts
right.
are controlling.
Right.
And ideally our sense of self, our belief system, whatever it is, the self is what's
Controlling.
what should be controlling,
Yeah.
you know.
That's so cool. I didn't even
yeah.
think about that.
Yeah.
And then I also loved later, kind of fast forwards a minute later, and Anxiety's feeling anxious about something, and they're like, okay, Anxiety, like, let's go to your spa. She has this chair, she's drinking her tea, she's feeling so much better. That's what we need to do for ourselves when we feel
Exactly.
anxious, you
Yeah.
know? Like,
Yeah.
I work with little kids, and we make coping bags, and we put bubbles in them so they can take deep breaths. Like,
Play
we
some
just,
music.
yes, we need things to help calm ourselves down, and
Yeah.
I love that they create that for
I know.
anxiety. It's so good.
Yeah. One thing that I love about that really emotional scene where they all go and hug the self is they actually rip it off first.
Oh, that's
Right,
right.
right.
They're
So
yeah, that's
it's-
right.
Is it fully anxiety when they rip it off?
Yes.
I think it
I
is.
think
Like it has
so.
been fully replaced by anxiety. And they're all like tugging on it and they finally rip it off and then they all go in and hug it and then it becomes its own new thing, right? Or does it go back?
Well, no, I
remember.
think
I think it's
they
a
tug
series
it
of
off.
colors,
They
is it
tug it
not?
off, and then I think Joy tries to put it on there, and then I
yeah.
think she realizes that like it's not going to work or something, and so they need anxiety, and then I think they hold. I think the anxiety one,
Yeah.
and then from that the new one forms, and it's like
Yeah.
it's slightly jagged but also curvy. But
Oh
it's
yeah, there's like some triangles
yeah, but it's
and
like
all
more
that.
like a
Yeah, yeah.
rainbowish color.
Uh-huh.
You
Yeah.
know?
It
Like-
just feels
like a prism.
everything they do in this movie is super intentional.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
everything. And so
100%,
when they rip that off, it feels almost like sometimes you need to almost just for a moment just fully kind of disconnect and step out of your body and just like
Right.
breathe for a second and just like almost just ignore
With no beliefs, no thoughts.
ignore everything and
Yeah.
just like kind of start over and stuff like that. So it's just really cool that they do that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really cool.
My last thing I have written down, Joy says this. She goes, "We love all of our girl."
Yeah.
And so that's the thing too is, and again, Richard Schwartz, the guy who created IFS, he has a book called No Bad Parts. These parts of us are not bad. They're trying to help.
Right,
You know,
right.
and so when you look at them from that perspective, oh my goodness, like this part, I hate that I'm such a people pleaser. Why do I do it? When you look at it from the point of view that this part of you is just trying to help in some way. Anxiety was just trying to help. She was trying to protect Riley,
Yeah.
you know, because I think in this movie, anxiety is kind of deemed the bad guy.
Right.
Yeah.
But like you look at how frantic and how out of control anxiety is and how much she's just trying to help, you have again more sympathy towards her.
Yeah.
And so it was just cool when it ended, with Joy saying we love all of our girl. Ideally that's what it is. We love all parts of us. Even the parts that want to self-sabotage and want to do this and want to do that. We recognize that why they want to. We recognize the experiences that happened that result in that. And we're not shaming it for feeling that way. We recognize it. We hold the space for it. But we also don't have to, then our self calls a shot and we don't let that part to do the self-sabotaging behavior because we love ourselves.
Right.
You know?
Well, as soon as the anxiety tree is created and she hears I'm not good enough, that's instantly when anxiety flips.
Yeah, she's like, what did I just do?
Yeah.
She's like,
Yeah.
oh crap, what did I
Yeah.
just do? Because this whole time she's just trying to protect her. That's all she's trying to do. But she's made it worse. And so it's just cool that she realizes, oh crap, what did I do? For her, since she's anxiety, she goes way over the top to try and help protect her. But yeah, it's just it's cool.
Yeah. So this isn't necessarily. I wanted to share this earlier, but y'all were. I didn't want to interrupt your
You're
thoughts.
vibing.
Vibe.
Because we were talking about sadness and how you can feel like joy after you feel sadness, or that they're combined and stuff. And this isn't even from this movie, but I always have to share this quote anytime I get to, because I think it's from one of the Avengers movies, maybe Endgame, or maybe it's not even, maybe it's from WandaVision. But Vision tells Wanda, he says, "What is grief if not love persevering?" And so it's like, that's such a good example of how two emotions are fully intertwined.
Right, right,
You
right.
cannot experience grief if there was no love.
Right, right.
At all. Like it's I don't know. It's cool how they play with all of these emotions like intertwining and being part of each other.
Yeah.
So, can't wait for the third one.
Grief will be in there.
Grief. Oh gosh. She's like old and
Shame.
that's a shame, depression. Okay, Craig.
Okay,
Out of 200.
hold on.
Oh,
End credit scene.
oh,
Oh, yeah.
credit scene.
What is
Okay,
it?
spoil it for us.
So they're in the vault. The big and Joy's like, all right, big guy, come out of here. What's the big, deep, dark secret that they've been hiding for the whole movie? And he's like, we burned a hole in the rug, is all he says. And Joy's like, I thought it was that time we peed in the pool.
That's funny.
That's
That's all it was.
That's
So
it.
that was just
That's
like
the
this-
deep, dark
that's
secret.
The deep, dark secret.
And of course,
Man.
everyone's
Burned a
wondering,
hole
oh
in
my
the rug.
gosh, what
That
is
was my
it?
deep, dark secret.
Right? Yeah.
Oh, you're
man.
waiting for this big thing.
That's
we burned a hole in
that's
the
so
rug.
funny.
She's like, I thought it was when we peed in the pool.
All right, Craig.
Story.
What are you going to give it?
Oh my gosh. I'll do 195.
Okay.
Yeah.
Courtney Lou.
Yeah, I was thinking 190 something. 196.
She's gonna, I knew you were going to do that. I am not going to lie to anybody. I'm going to give it a 200.
Nice.
I just think that this was as good as anybody could have tried to make this story.
Yeah.
Like if anybody was trying to express what they tried to express in this movie, I don't possibly think that it can get better than
Yeah.
what this was.
Yeah.
So.
I watched like a red carpet video today, and they're interviewing two guys. I don't know if they're the writers or creators or who they are. And I think it was early, so I don't remember a whole lot. So they said we had other emotions in it as well, and kind of just had to rewrite these emotions out of the story because they just didn't fit. And I can't remember what the first one was, and it kind of surprised me. I'm like, really, you wanted to include that? But I can't remember what it was. But then the other one was jealousy and envy, and they're twins. And so
interesting.
So I think just in trying to write them both into the story, there was times where they're like, well, they're kind of the same. And then through all the research, like we learned that jealousy and envy very much aren't the same.
yeah.
But we ultimately decided to keep envy and
Interesting.
instead. And so, which is cool because I was like, envy, not jealous, not jealousy. I was
Right.
like, why,
Yeah.
why that
Right.
one, not the other one? But for the story, I think, and I don't know, just thinking out loud, like jealousy is like, oh, I want that, I want what you have, this and that. But envy was almost like idolizing,
Right,
what other
Yeah.
people were. And
Yeah.
it's probably why.
It's
So-
that envy rather than just the jealousy of I want this life. It's idolizing
Yeah,
the
yeah,
life. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to acting.
Yeah.
There's a lot of changes between the
Yeah.
first movie and the second
The
movie.
voice
Yep.
actors.
As far as the voice actors go. So Amy Poehler is still Joy.
Yep.
Phyllis Vance, if you will,
Vance
Sadness.
refrigeration.
is still Sadness.
Oh, she's so good.
But then Mindy Kaling has been ixnayed, I don't know, as discussed.
And Bill Hader was.
Bill Hader was Fear.
Bill Hader was Fear, and he was replaced.
he was replaced.
I guess.
Was Anger the same?
Yeah,
Okay. That's what I thought. I thought it was just those two.
it was just those
Yeah.
two to my knowledge. And then Riley, but she's grown up, and
Yeah,
the girl
yeah.
that would have played her, it wouldn't make sense anymore.
Yeah.
So
And then Maya
It did
Hawke.
throw me off just a little bit, though.
really,
Just, yeah,
I
because
didn't notice
her
that
voice
much.
felt so different
Huh.
than
Okay.
I didn't
normal.
notice, but because I haven't seen Inside Out in a long, it's been a couple years.
Yeah.
So yeah, that makes sense. So Maya Hawke from Stranger Things as Anxiety, and
She
then
did so good.
Ayo Edebiri from The Bear was Envy. Sydney,
No
She was
way.
Envy, uh-huh.
Okay.
which The Bear, man,
Man, Bear is so good.
it's coming. And then somebody I've never heard of before, Lisa Lapira,
Okay.
was discussed.
Lisa or Eliza?
You know, Liza is it's likely that's her name.
Lisa.
It's very likely. Oh, it's that guy.
Yeah. Why can't I think of what he's
Tony
in?
Hale. He's the guy from The Thing.
Oh, The Thing. Yeah, I love
Oh
that
my
movie
gosh,
back
what is
the
he
day.
in? He's so sassy all the time.
I know, and I can't think of what he's in. Is he more of a TikTok or like more? On
He's
social
Arrested
media?
Development. He's in all those. He's in all those sitcoms.
Hocus
What am I
Pocus.
thinking of?
That's what it is.
Oh my gosh, He's in Chuck. He's in.
Oh, he's the store manager in Chuck.
Yeah, he's the store manager
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Chuck.
yeah. Okay.
whatever. Yeah,
Hmm.
he's that guy. I know him from things.
Tony Hill.
And then that guy, Lewis Black, has anger.
Yeah.
Never heard of him. But so anyway, I don't have any notes.
I
But
just think
I
Amy
just
Poehler's so
wrote down
good for.
nostalgia.
Amy Poehler is so
So
good,
good for
and
Joy.
Phyllis Smith is so good.
Yeah,
for
the
sadness.
voice.
They are
She
so-
just is sad.
She just does
She
sound
sounds
sad. She's
sad.
always
Yeah,
sound.
she does.
Yeah.
She just has this like just the intonation of her
Yeah.
voice and everything about it is just.
I love that
sad.
Anger is like a grumpy old man.
I
too.
know, he's
you know,
so
it's
great.
just it's so good.
Yeah.
I think to me, Anxiety was kind of the show stealer of the new emotions. She did
And
really, really
like Maya
well.
Hawke has that like kind of like raspy voice a little
Yeah.
bit. I don't know.
It,
It's just
it matched
it really
so
did.
well.
It really
Yeah,
did.
which is like
How do you match a voice
I just
for
think when she
Anxiety?
shows up and
but
she's like,
it's
"I'm
just-
Anxiety. It's so nice to meet you. Oh, we wanted to make such a good first impression." You
Yeah,
know,
like,
just
immediately
like
makes you feel
know,
like, "Ah."
yeah.
What do
Really
you mean,
intense, coming
we?
on really
Yeah.
strong. You know,
which is just it's cool because then you look at whoever the casting director is, right? Whoever's casting these people, it's so much more than, oh, you look right for this part, right? Especially because it's a
sound right.
voice role. It's like we not only need somebody who's like a good voice actor, but somebody whose voice matches what a lot of people might think without even consciously thinking it, what this emotion might sound like.
Right.
And that's why Amy Poehler and Phyllis Smith are so
Yeah,
good
yeah.
for what they are.
you think of
Everybody's
Leslie
so good
Knope,
for what
who's
they
just
are.
so intense.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
Joy is intense.
Yeah.
Well, Joy's character is
Yeah.
intense.
And when you think of Phyllis Smith getting flashed in the parking lot, it's like, and she's got that.
I mean,
she's got
Phyllis?
that. And she's
Really?
got that. She's got that St. Louis accent too. And talking about popcorn, and it's just, it's so good. The casting is phenomenal.
I will say it wasn't a huge issue, but Fear and Disgust weren't quite as great. Just because I'm so used,
You're so used to it,
the
yeah.
originals. So
Mindy Kaling is
Mindy
a hard one
Kaling,
to
that
replace.
is hard, yeah.
Yeah.
Fear, I did not notice even a tiny bit.
Oh,
Right.
see, I totally
But-
did. As soon as he started talking, I was like, oh, that's not Fear. Him with the parachute.
Oh, yeah.
You guys all have a parachute.
Yeah, it's so good.
That's funny.
Yeah.
What are you going to give acting then?
Oh, it's so good. Everybody's so good. I'll give it a 198.
Nice.
I'm going to take the 2 little points off for the two main new the replacements.
I'll
That's
do
it.
194, just a couple more for the new people.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I was gonna do 190, but I don't
Great.
feel like I'm that like.
It's fine.
Anyway,
You
No,
do
that's how this
190.
works.
it was great. I
Perfect.
couldn't think of anyone better.
Yeah.
So maybe
Yeah.
200. I don't know.
Yeah. And whoever's nostalgia. was so
Oh,
good.
she's an old woman. It's an old woman.
It is an
It
old
is.
woman. Who is it?
I have no
God,
idea.
it doesn't even
but
say
I
on
saw
there,
I
but-
saw the
That's
same
so
thing.
funny.
Yeah.
Come back. It's only been 5 minutes.
It's so funny.
Okay, score.
Dude, the opening, man. Right,
song.
right when
Right.
the tower, is it the Disney Tower or is it the Pixar thing? And the music starts playing, and I was immediately transported back to summer 2015. I was like, I'm a kid again, even though I was 19 years old. But
But I feel that's the only time we heard that song.
Yeah, so that's what I was
going
going to say. It's a new composer.
it wasn't the only time we heard it. It was played in another song. You know how they'll do that? It's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the overture,
very,
right?
yeah.
So it's like, it was in, the melody of that was in a bigger song during a bigger part. But yeah, it wasn't played like it
Yeah.
was in the first one. It is a new composer.
It is a new
Okay.
composer. So I actually didn't. The beginning, obviously amazing. Like
Yeah.
I hear that and I just already start
Openly
to
weep.
feel emotional,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
because I'm thinking about the movie. But other than that, it just felt like
Music.
Music.
Nothing
I was a
blew
little.
me
I was a little
away.
sad about it. I think
I
that's
agree.
why Inside Out 1 is more for me because I connect a lot with music.
Yeah.
Like that's
Oh, yeah.
how I feel a lot of my emotions is with music. And so the music wasn't quite there with how Inside Out 1 was because there were so many of those moments where like that music really took you into that emotion where this one just felt like, here's the beginning song, which is like, oh, great,
Yeah.
pull at my heartstrings, you know? And then
Yeah.
after that was just like, it was just some music in the background and sound effects, and then they played it another time, and then
For
it was
sure.
over.
Yeah, I
you
agree.
know? So that was kind of my only like gripe.
Okay.
Was just it didn't feel as much because of the
Yeah.
music.
Yeah.
It didn't quite as much feel like it was a driving part of the movie.
Right.
I couldn't I walk away. I don't have any memories of wow, that
Yeah.
was so cool with the music.
Yeah.
Nothing
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Because even like in the first one, when she's going through like the memories, there's just like a slight melody in the background, and then when they're taking off and they've got Bing Bong and he comes off and she's going up, kind of gets into that like exciting music.
Don't remind
and it
me.
makes you feel like that, and then it gets to that like sad music, and everything. So it got me when she hugged it, but I think it could have gotten me in a couple other moments, but there was no emotional music to help me
Yeah.
get there.
That makes sense.
I agree.
So for me, it's hard because that first song's great, but it was only
But
for
that's
a
almost
minute,
not
but-
even from this movie.
Yeah,
In a way, you know what I
yeah.
mean?
So, I mean, the sound effects were great. The tornado when anxiety was going, like all of that sounded really, really good, and like joy going into it and stuff.
Yeah.
Like you felt that disruption of the tornado and stuff. So for that, I'll like a 145. I
Okay.
mean, good sound effects, good sound design. Just
Yeah.
music was fine.
Yeah.
Wow, I paid attention to literally zero of that. So
Yeah.
I was gonna say 150.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, that's what I usually
It's
do.
just
If
there's-
I don't hear anything,
There was
it's
nothing,
150.
Yeah.
memorable.
Nothing
noteworthy.
distracted me, but nothing
Yeah.
got it for me.
I'm going to give it a 156.
That's weird and random.
That's right. That's the number I come up with before you guys came up with your numbers. Sorry, mine's not like... You don't understand.
Not 155.
No, because of the thing. Okay, so let's talk about
What thing?
the vibe of this movie.
Okay. Let's straight off the bat. Is this a 199 or a 200 for you?
No, right off the bat,
Right off the
it's
bat.
a 200
It's a
for me.
200,
Yeah,
nice.
for sure, dog. For sure. It was so literally the entire movie. I was thinking, this is incredible.
Yeah.
And it was literally start to finish. That's what just the thing that was running through my mind is, this is so well made.
It's healing.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a very
yeah.
healing
It's
movie.
it's so relatable, so many times. I don't know. It's so weird. They're like able to transport you into this movie
Yeah.
and being a part of this. You're like, yep, experience that and that and that and that. That's what that feels like, and that's what that sounds like. It's just cool that they're able to capture.
And even
Yeah.
like again, not everyone can relate to being a 13-year-old girl
Right.
who's going to
through
hockey
puberty.
camp. It's going through puberty,
Yeah.
But it's like we can all relate to moments where we felt left out, and we can all relate to
Right.
moments where we're trying to impress others, and where we're scared of trying something new, and where we're not good enough, and again, just like feeling like you don't really even like know who yourself is, and like I made a mistake, let me make another mistake, or when she breaks into the coach's,
The
did she
coach
break
to
in-
get she get the
did she
file.
actually
just-
break into it?
She
Yeah,
breaks
yeah.
into it to
Yeah.
see because
Like-
the coach said not ready. or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like that.
Just so going against again who she is at herself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's not sneaky and a thief and a rule breaker and all of that.
But the anxiety's
But
taking
the
over.
anxiety's taking over, and just so going against who she is at her core. And even if like watching that movie, it's not like, oh, I remember one time when I went against my core. It's not
Yeah.
that. It's just the feeling that it captures by telling this story and music and well maybe not music and the visuals and all of that. By telling the story, you can feel it with her.
Right,
You can
right.
feel that, and that's that empathy inside of us
Right,
that can
right.
do that. So
So what would you give the
200.
vibe? 200.
yeah, it was
all
just
the way.
it's just I see what you mean where like maybe little how old are your kids?
5 and 3.
Yeah, I get maybe not
don't get the
100%.
story. They
But
still have
again,
fun.
like, I don't know if I got the story of I don't know if I got Finding Nemo when I was I
right?
don't know.
It's-
But
They found Nemo. I know that much.
It was still,
It's fun.
It's still enough.
You
It's
have-
fun. It's got the colors.
yeah, it got
you
pouchy.
know.
You have to have you have to have the fun stuff
Yeah.
in the in between. You have to have these parts having their own personalities because that's how you tell the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, where Sam said it aged with the audience and
It did.
They did such a good job. I mean, that's what another thing about this movie that's so incredible is you can be any age and you'll have fun watching this movie,
Yeah.
which is a pretty big feat, I think. So
I'll do 190.
190.
190.
Oh, Craig went low.
Music
I know
ruined it. Music ruined it
190
for
is
him.
so low.
So low.
Pouchy gets 200.
I thought you hated Pouchy.
No, Fauci was great because I was reliving the horrible moments of watching Mickey Mouse Clubhouse over and over again.
Wait, we didn't even talk about Pouchy. Well, I mean, we did. But
did.
Yeah.
can we just talk about how every time Pouchy offers anything, one of the
dynamite.
options is dynamite?
No, can we talk about the fact that Anger was just
He
literally
just
like
reaches
shoving
down Patchy's throat and just pulling dynamite out. It's such a funny detail.
Yeah.
It's
so
just
great.
good.
You know, I love how everything he pulled out was the same, design too.
Yeah.
It was just you have these little like 2D dynamites
Yeah.
around
Like
this whole
Looney
3D
Tunes
so
vibes.
Yeah.
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 So, Courtney, you're going to have three seconds to answer this question.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
Okay.
Because you can't think about it very well.
Okay.
Very long.
Okay.
Oh.
So, out of 1,000, what do you think you scored this if we add up all your points?
There's 5 categories.
Yep.
I'm gonna say like 972.
Wow, she's
Ooh.
probably real close.
She's
Craig?
probably really close.
Craig?
I'm gonna say 925.
Okay, I'm going to say I gave it a 938. Okay.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so what did you say?
972.
936.
Oh, okay.
Your score. I forgot about that.
Your score. The score brings it
Your
down
score brings down 50.
from 1,000.
Yeah.
So that's automatically 950.
50. Oh, I went 9 to 7. Duh.
Yeah, yeah.
That's okay. It's okay.
Math.
It's your first math. You're a therapist. You're not a
We're not
mathematician.
here to do math.
Craig said what? 920 something?
Crap, 925.
Well, you gave it a 924, so that was a
I guess 924.
pretty dang good guess. And I said 938, and I gave it a 954.
Yeah, it's lame.
I gave
Washed
200, 200, 198, 156, 200.
yeah, so I was like, you
200.
only brought down the score a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so
Oh,
our last little guessy looky-loo is the box office, which Courtney is
Oh,
very
I've
well
seen a lot
versed
of
in.
stuff about it actually.
Courtney
so
is
I'll
a
go
box office
last or-
master. She knows the box office of every movie, right? Isn't that right? You know, like what a good movie is, what a bad movie is. Like,
Right.
what would, if a movie was pretty good, what would the box office be?
I don't know.
If you had to guess how much
In the first weekend, is that how it goes?
No,
No,
over
all time.
until it leaves theaters.
Yeah.
So if you had to guess, like,
Domestic and
what do you
worldwide.
think Avengers Endgame did?
Okay, but you talk about this one the most.
Okay, so what do you
Because
think
it
it
did
is?
like something billion in the first weekend. 500 billion or not million in like the first
500
week.
billion the first week.
I don't know. I know it's like 100 billions.
No,
no.
2.79 2.79 billion.
Oh
Okay.
gosh, never mind. Don't quote me. I'm so bad at gauging stuff like that.
So
500 billion.
let's pull up some box office so that you can get a little bit of.
I have seen quite a bit about the box office, like opening weekend, and I saw something that said it's Pixar's best
Pre-sale.
first Tuesday
Ever.
ever,
Okay.
and the 5th best Tuesday of all time.
which is crazy.
That's
Of
insane.
all movies, that's
That's
nuts.
insane.
I know what
So
that
to give
means.
you a little bit of a frame of reference, the first Inside Out did $858 million. Okay,
Well, not billion.
not billion.
Not billion.
No.
Okay,
And Inside Out 2, right now, we'll do this
remember math.
to level
Make
the
it
playing
even.
field, is currently sitting at, holy Moses, is sitting at $438 billion after,
Million?
sorry, million.
Okay.
You got me in the billion.
Yeah.
438 million after 1 week,
Week.
which is absolutely insane.
Holy crap.
Good for them.
So real quick,
Oh,
show of
crap.
hands,
Oh my gosh.
will it do a billion?
Yes.
I think 100% it'll do
Yeah.
$1 billion, which is crazy. Has
100 billions.
Has any Pixar movie done $1 billion?
Yeah, Incredibles 2.
Did it
And
really?
I think
Same.
Toy Story 3
Oh, okay,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
and Toy
okay.
Story 4.
I think Toy Story 4 is like one of the Pixar movies that's done the best,
it's
which is
Incredibles
weird.
2.
Which is weird because
Highest.
it super sucks.
Yeah.
It's not very good. That's just me.
I'm
Sorry.
out.
Sorry.
Story 4?
We're so great.
It's not, but we'll
argue
we can
that
review
after.
it. Yeah. Okay, so who wants to go first?
Oh my
this is a big
gosh.
decision
Oh
here.
my gosh.
For what?
We're guessing the box office, the final box
I
office.
don't know.
We're sitting at
Do you
4.
ever look back at this stuff?
Always, every
Oh,
single time.
always.
We
Happy.
look. I'll show you. Look,
You have a whole
here's our
spreadsheet?
guesses. Here's what it ends up being, and this is who won.
Oh, that's fun.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Craig is currently winning.
No, you're winning this year.
Whatever, it's all the same.
500 billion.
Billion.
Put that down as Courtney's guess.
Uh-huh.
Oh man. Jeez.
Like what did
What
Mario
was
do? Or
Mario
what
did
like, give me some-
1.3.
1.3 something. Craig guessed it basically like almost right on the nose. No, wait, I did.
No, you did.
When was Mario? That was forever ago. It did $1.341 billion.
I'm trying to think of what are other like kids
What
movies
was
you guys have
Incredibles
done?
2?
Megamind 2.
Oh no.
Just kidding.
What was Incredibles 2?
Let's see. It's hard to type with one hand.
Oh my gosh. Type. Do you need me to hold it?
I got it. I found it. 1.243
1.243.
bajillion dollars.
I think that's their highest.
Yeah.
Dang. Do you
So,
think
I
it's
have a
going to be
number.
their highest?
No. I do not. I'm gonna throw my guess out there right now. $1.139 billion.
It was what 1.2.
One
1, 2,
My
4,
guess?
3.
or Incredibles. Incredibles was 1.243.
I'm gonna say 1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, Courtney.
'cause-
Oh,
that's-
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, it's
All right.
safe.
1, 2, 3, 4.
You said 1.13.
1.13. Yeah. You have 2 more seconds.
Bro, it's going to be like right there.
Right where? Tell me the number.
Right where you're at. I'm going to do 1.17.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we'll just see who wins.
Ooh.
Close.
If
close
Courtney
game.
wins, she takes Craig's spot in the podcast. If Craig wins, Craig takes Courtney's spot in the podcast.
Fair.
No, if Courtney wins, she takes Craig's job. And if Craig wins, he takes Courtney's job.
Job. We're switching jobs.
Yeah, we're switching
Okay,
jobs.
that would be so interesting on both.
Both
sides.
sides, it would,
100%.
everything would go
Yeah.
so poorly.
I have
would
a
love to
color
see
wheel
that.
here.
Craig is like, so are you
I have
feeling...
a circle.
Courtney's
We're
like,
gonna do a-
metal circle. Courtney probably knows... Well, would you say you know more about his job, or do you think you know more about her job? Because she did work where you work for a number of
Yeah, but
years.
you did do finishing.
Kind
I
of.
did Cerakote.
Yeah, you did Cerakote.
Yeah, I was really bad at it. They
But
didn't give me
Craig-
that job back.
I have been called a therapist by very many people, so
Named
I've been
Lindsay.
called-
Just kidding.
no, my other coworkers.
That'd be interesting.
No, I definitely don't know more. Because what I would do is I'd sit them down and I'd play Inside Out 1 and 2.
There
and
you
be
go.
Like,
Be like, just
That's
do.
enough.
okay, we're good.
Just figure that out by
That's,
yourself.
that's the homework I'm giving my clients. Go watch the
Smart.
movies.
Smart.
and the next session, just rewatch that.
Yeah, over and over
it
again until they
really
leave.
clicks. Until Inside Out 3 comes out and they show them that one. Okay.
Oh.
Well, Courtney, thank you for joining us.
Yes,
today.
thank you
for
so much for all of your
having me.
wonderful
Yeah.
insight.
I
And
hope anything of what I said
everything.
made sense.
You did you gave more information, not in a bad way, than I could have ever imagined. And it was it was cool because especially for people, I know a lot about this stuff because I'm married. This is my wife. I'm married to you. So I know a lot about this stuff already. But for somebody who maybe doesn't, I think it'll be cool for them to start to realize like how true, like how realistic this movie is and like just all the context of
Yeah.
it. So I think it's
And-
cool to know that.
And again, IFS is a concept, you know? We don't have these little guys living in our head,
Yeah.
obviously, but it's
Yeah.
a concept. And if you choose to kind of grasp onto this concept, like it can be very, very healing.
It's a way to visualize
Absolutely,
it.
yeah.
Which is super, super cool.
Okay, any other things? Anything else you want
Thanks
to
for
say?
having me.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here.
joining.
Yeah. I'll
We'll
maybe
invite
listen
you
to this
on an
episode.
Inside Out
Oh,
3,
good.
you know?
Yeah, Inside Out 3.
I'll be
Okay,
back.
wait. So what's the Inside Out 3 video?
Oh, it's really dark. I don't know if I
Actually, we'll
want to
talk about it
Yeah.
afterwards. If anybody wants to find it, maybe we'll
Like
repost
search
it on our
TikTok
TikTok.
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really funny. Okay, well, Courtney, you want to bring us home? What does reaction time stand for?
I'm so bad at stuff like this, and then you put me on the spot.
No, I
Do
don't
you guys like
really-
bounce off of each other?
No.
Or do I have to do the
one
whole
person
thing?
just sends it.
One person just sends it.
Should we do the 3?
We can do the 3-headed.
Okay, you'll start.
I
With,
don't want to start. So
okay, you start.
Red.
Eagles.
Hard.
Contemplating.
Time.
On.
In.
In.
Only.
Nectarines.
Tuesday.
Is.
Mercury's
Elbow.
Elbow.
and that it is Tuesday is Mercury's
And
elbow.
scene.
And scene.
Mercury's not in retrograde. Tuesday is
Mercury has no Gatorade today, folks. That is a
Tuesday is
fact.
Mercury's elbow.
That's gonna be the new astrology thing. You guys, sorry, I'm a Leo, and Tuesday is Mercury's elbow, and so it's
that
just
a
not.
shirt.
Today's not my day. Oh, so good, Courtney.
man.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Thank you everybody for listening, and we'll catch you next week for a movie.
Something.
Bye.
Ba-da-ba-ba.